Hi, I'm Sean, and today we're going to be fixing the upper and lower ball joints on this Ford E-350. And while we're in there, this is the lower ball joint here, we're also going to replace the tie rod end on the right side here. So let's get to work. First thing I'm going to do is remove this covering, which is as simple as just banging it off with a small hammer, which I seem to have forgot. Let me grab one. Okay, now I got my hammer. So you don't want to hammer it hard, just tap on it. Well, I had taken it off earlier, but it doesn't come off that easy. Just tap around the edges and it'll make its way off. Alright, first thing you want to do is take the wheel off, which I'm going to have to jack up the car. And don't forget to use jack stands, just in case. I'll get back to you just as soon as I have this wheel off. Now, if you don't have air tools, make sure you loosen all the nuts before you take the wheel off the ground. But since I have air tools, you can jack it off the ground first. Get these nuts off here. Move the tire. And I'm going to use the tire as another emergency support in case the car should fall off the jack stands and the jack. Okay. Okay. Now that I've placed that over there. Alright, next thing we want to do is remove the cotter pin here. So, take my pliers, bend that down. So, and this one only has one side, so I only had to bend one. Okay, so I removed that. And then we want to take off the brakes and the caliper. Okay, to do that, we're going to need to loosen the two bolts in the back here. Okay, now this is a 3/4 nut on here, or sorry, 3/4 bolt, and I got my air socket here. So, now when you're using this or any tools, be careful not to jam your hands into things. I can do it all the time. Like that. Oh, that's... stubborn in it. That ain't working. Try a manual tool. Okay, I'm going to use my wrench here manually. So I'm having trouble with the air tool. Doesn't seem, it just seems to bounce off of it. So now I need to turn it this way to get it loose, and that's really tight. I don't want to jam my hands in there. So if I take it and I put it in let's try right there. So I can try and pound on it to make it loose. So if I take my hand and jam like this, I'm going to smack it into that spring. I've hurt myself enough in this job. Okay. That nut is really on there, that bolt, sorry. Ah, man. Okay, so I did the other side of the van, had no problem like this. It's really on there. So I'm going to try actually using some box wrenches here and see if we can get it off that way. I think it's too big. Alright, so I've had to pull out a standard wrench and try and hammer this off. This guy's really on there. I did put some lubricating spray on there. It's a penetrating wrench. So, see if that works. There we go. Okay. And that's how you prevent your hand from being smashed. Right now, let's try and get it off the tool. Make sure I've got it on unscrew and unscrew. Oh, get the camera out of the way. Okay, this is why this job is hard. You run into things that are so rusted, you can't get them off. And I've tried every kind of tool I've got here to get this nut off, and it's just rounding the edges off. So I'm going to try and clean out from behind it. Maybe I can get some crud and junk that's helping to hold it in. I also sprayed some penetrant on there. Let it work its way through. Alright, I still can't get that nut off. So I'm going to remove the tie rod end here. And that way I can move the wheel back and forth freely. And maybe I can get better access to that nut. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing I'm going to do is pull the cotter pin off here. Okay. Okay, one more cotter pin. Now take this nut off there. Alright, that nut came off pretty easily. Okay, so I don't want to unscrew it all the way because I want to hit up on this to pop it out. Just pop out that way. And I want to use the nut here to protect the bottom. Dirt come off the car. Now, if you're having trouble getting it off, you can get someone to get in on the steering wheel, turn it back and forth as you bang it. Seem to work on the other side. Okay, so got the bottom one loose now. Just use my socket wrench here. So we can just pull that one off. Okay. Now the top one is still on there really well. So I'm going to try it from this angle. Nope. Jeez. It's supposed to come off. Damn. Well, I think pull this caliper partially off. Okay. Well, that's odd. Huh. Okay, well, Didn't mean to pull the pin, but I got the caliper off, so that was the objective there. So normally the bolt's into that pin there, and you usually normally have to take the bolt off, but that works. Okay, so let's take the shoes off. Just set them on the tire over here. In this case, it's easy to tell which one's the inner and the outer because you can see the two places here where the caliper was, the pistons are pressing against it. Okay. Alright, so now when I go ahead, I remember I pulled this cotter pin at the beginning, so we can just pull the whole wheel off. Oh, sorry. Now I need to take there's a nut on here. The nut is easily unscrewable, or easy to unscrew. Just do it by hand. So I've got the cap and the nut together, and lay out a place for them to lay these parts. Just put a paper towels there. All right, now we can remove this. Okay, so set this aside for the moment. We'll need this later. The inner bearing is here, and the outer bearing just fell out right there. Okay, so we'll deal with those at the end when we're done. For now, I'm just gonna set this whole thing aside. All right, once you're in there, turn to the right. Start turning. Just turn all the way to the right, but slowly. Okay, got it. Whew, that'll give you a workout. Got it, thanks. No, you just leave it on. Whew, okay, now I'm gonna just pull right out, and you can set it aside. Wow, that's a beast. So now, without that in there, it'll move freely. Okay, so the next step is, well, I'll move the camera back over here, but we're gonna try and pull this entire assembly off next with the air tools. I'm gonna use this guy and a lot of pounding. So, see if we can loosen the top. That's for the adjustment. But man, that sucks. All right. Okay, so I can start. All right, it's coming. That's weird. The bottom is loose, but the top isn't. That's a little different. Okay, that is the hardest part of the job right there. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this over to my vise and we'll press the top and the lowering bearings out. The ball joints, sorry. So let's get to that. Alright, so now I've got the entire armature on my vise here. So we're gonna press out the bottom one first, and then we'll do the top one. It's hard to do it the other way because this is in the way. Okay, so what you're going to need is a press tool, like so. Okay. And we can just, I got to unscrew that. Okay, so we want to push this up like that. This tool, like so. Let me raise this up a little bit. Okay, and see if we can fit. Oh, duh. Minor detail. I forgot to. I'll show you what I forgot here. Forgot the ring right here, so I've got to take that ring out first. And I will do that next. Yeah. So I've got one of these little ring tools. It's the easiest way to get these things out. Yeah, it wouldn't go anywhere without doing that. It's minor detail, but important. Alright, so we got that out. Now we'll go back to what we were doing. So on this end, I'm just going to use this guy directly on there. But on this end, you need to have a piece where the ball joint's not going to run into it as it comes through. So that seems to be about right. Okay, and I need this cover piece. Okay. Alright, so I got that through like this, and then tighten that guy down. Without smashing your finger. Alrighty. Forward. And let's see what we can do here. If you're not getting any rotation, wait when the air compressor comes on. Wait till the cycle to the till it's all the way full. You get the most pressure that way. All right, let's try this again here. Whew, not getting any movement on it. I'll try it with a hammer a few times. Take it apart first. Alright, I tried putting a larger ring on there. Maybe it's hitting the smaller ring. I don't know what's causing it not to go through. And I hammered on it a bit, loosened it up maybe. So let's try it again. Tighten and not loose. Oh, it is moving. It's taking a long time though. Well, we're making progress. Just really slow. You can see that it has gone down some. Just keep hammering away at it here. Alright, I want you to see this. Okay. Okay, got that off. The lower one, this one, is harder than the top one. The top one's a little easier. But we'll do that one next. Okay. That was basically garbage now. Okay, so let's do the bottom one. So the bottom one, we've got to press it down, same direction. Get that out of the way. So we'll do the same thing. I think yeah, that one's plenty big enough there. Oh, me. Starter in there first. Okay. I was telling my muscles get tired, I start dropping stuff. Okay. Oh. Need to put this through the hole like that. Okay. Like so. Yeah, it's a little off. Oops. Okay. Looks set, so let's go to town. Let me spray some lubricant in there. Don't know how much it actually helps, but can't hurt. So. Not getting any movement. Okay, let's take a look what's going on. to make sure that the pin is not hitting this. That it's actually has a clear shot at getting through the hole. That could have been what's happening. Alright, it's starting to go. It's like the top one. Bingo! Okay. Okay, there's your bottom ball joint, or sorry, top ball joint. Now, I want to clean this all out, and then I'll press the new ones in. Okay, so let's use some WD-40 in there, and some paper towels. Okay, so just get in there, clean this whole thing out. Alright, you can see I just cleaned out the holes. Okay, now just reverse the process with the new guys. Okay, here's the new top joint. Okay, so I've got the new upper ball joint. Gonna press it in. Just the opposite of what we pulled out. But I did remove the rubber cover off of it, so I don't crush the rubber cover when I'm trying to press this back in. Okay. And we just want to reverse the process. So put this guy in the bottom, so we can press in there, and then on top we're going to have that guy. Okay, pushing it on takes all this things than taking it off. You can say, okay, so now tighten this up. Keeping my fingers out of the way. Alright, got my upper ball joint. Gonna slide it in here. Okay, we're gonna need an outer ring that's bigger, because remember the lower ball joint will actually push through, unlike the upper ball joint, which is level on this vehicle anyway. Okay. Okay, so now I made a mistake. I couldn't get the rubber seal off, so I thought I'd try it with the rubber seal on. Not good. It tore up the rubber seal. So it's at night now, so I can't go get another rubber seal at the hardware store. So I guess I'll have to wait till tomorrow to get a new seal for that. So, well, we'll see what else we can do. We can at least finish the arm, and finish the rest tomorrow, I guess. Oh, yeah. Now once we've pushed this through, pressed it in. So remember, we have to put the ring back on, and it comes with a new ring. So we'll use the new ring. Now use the same tool to spread it and put it down on there. Okay, there's the new ring. Okay, it's a special little ring tool. Drop it in the holes. Spread it apart like that. This is actually pretty tough to do. Getting off is easy. Getting on is much more difficult. Okay, now I've got it pressed on there. Don't forget to put your rubber seal back on. Okay. You gotta make sure it's on there good, because when you fill it with lubricant, don't want to come out. Okay, that feels good. Okay, now let's go work on the steering arm. We'll just keep this on here and out of the way until we finish that. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is remove these two bolts and nuts here, and then we'll be able to unscrew this from the main shaft. Now, when you unscrew this, you want to make sure you know how many times you unscrew it. You want to count the number of unthreadings, because this, by how many times you thread it in or out, sets your tire adjustment. So you want to make sure it stays the same. Although after all this, I have to get a front end alignment anyway. But, okay, so I put it up on the jack stand so I can work with it a little easier. And this is a 5/8 nut. Not too bad. Let me loosen the other one. I'll almost do it by hand. So much dirt and crud in there. I don't know if this has ever been replaced. Okay, there's one. It's always a pain when it's too loose to work the ratchet, but too tight to actually undo it by hand. Okay, number 2. Alright, now that I've removed those, taken them off, get a little bit of energy there. I'm going to start unscrewing this. Okay, from here, whoa, don't want that to move. One, 2, 3, Look at the way that thing's unscrewing. 6, 7, 32, 33, 34. Alright, 34 times. That's a lot of times. Okay, so put this guy on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 31, 32, 33, 34. Actually, I wasn't down. Okay. And you can also check against the old. So I can see the rust line there. That looks about. It's like it's in the same amount. So, okay. And that's that. So now we want to put the bolts back in. Yeah, let me clean those up a little bit. Alright, I clean these guys up. Just plop them back in there. Okay. Put the nuts back on. Amazing, they go on a lot better without all that dirt in there. Okay, that's turn them back on. Down. Tight. That's good. Okay. Now, need to go ahead and put the needle on the nipple on there and fill it with some fluid. I'll do that in just a second here. Okay, so I've got the nipple here. Just thread it in, and you can tighten it up with a tiny driver. What size is this? 9/32. Okay, that's all. Don't over tighten it or it'll strip it out. Alright, so now we want to put on the upper and lower ball joint assembly, okay? And then we'll reattach this to it as well. So I carry this over here. Alright, I've got the ball joint assembly here, and I'm going to put it back on. I'll put the lower ball joint in and then put the screw on there. Okay, so it's got to line it up, push it up through. This guy is a little heavy. Let's take that up, get out of the way. Okay, so now I got the nut. Okay, tighten it up as far as you can with your hand. Alright, that'll least hold it in place. And then I will believe that's the right size. Yeah. So remember, this is I think it was 1 3/16. Oh, that's right. Okay. There's a problem. I'm gonna lift this thing. I gotta put the screw in far enough, or the nut in far enough to get the tool in there. I'm lucky it's not that hard to thread. Okay, now I got it in there. Okay, so you can see on the top here. Oh no, you can't. Sorry about that. Alright, hopefully now you can see it. Okay, sorry about that, I had this block in the way. Alright, so we need to move this to the center in order to put the adjustment screw back in there. The cam. Alright, so see if we can't move it out of the way. Okay, so I believe the cam's pointing that way. I might have to go back and look at the video myself. But it doesn't really matter that much because I'm going to have to get a front end alignment anyway on this. Of course, I don't have a hammer laying around. So I need to go find a hammer. Okay, got a hammer. Alright, so let's tighten this back up. Okay. Now I want to find where the cotter pin goes. Aha, I'm sitting on them. Let's find the hole. Not quite. So you can adjust the alignment on the hole. You need to loosen it or tighten it slightly. Looks like I need to tighten it just a bit. Okay, so now I get it all the way through. No problem. Okay, so I take my pliers and I bend one way. Okay, it doesn't need to look pretty. Okay, so now we got that on there. I pulled it off and replaced it. I tightened it up a little bit more so that the top is even. Okay, this should be fairly even with the top there. Okay, and that's how you know that it's good. And I should be able to turn it. Okay. So now I'm going to tighten this adjustment guy back up after I hammer this one a little bit. Okay. Now, That's a 5/8 on that. Okay. There, we got that back together. Okay, looks good. Now we need to reattach the steering rod here. Okay. And push it down a little bit. You'll see it pop through the bottom. Grab the nut that you used before. Well, I did come with a new one. Let's see if I got a new. Oh, there's a new one. I used the old one I beat on, and I got a new one. Okay, and okay, so that's 7/8 there. Put that back on. Okay, I can see it's actually really well lined up with my cotter pin hole. Actually, I'm going to put the cotter pin through the other way so I can more easily bend it. Again, that's facing me. Okay, now that I've reattached it, I'm going to add some grease lubricant to it. So get your grease gun to snap on there. And then as you pump it full, you should see this the rubber seal start to expand. Okay, that's good. Alright, we're all done with that. Now I've got to reattach the back plate here and the brake calipers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the plate next. Oh, wrong way. Keeps water out of your brakes. Splash guard here. And dirt and everything else. Okay. Theoretically, anyway. Okay, that's all. Now, to put the brakes back on, we've got to put these clips, which fell off when we were hammering. So they just snap back on here, press on, and the other one's up here. Pretty simple, okay. And now, take our caliper, whoa, and well, I need to turn the wheel to get that in there. It's not going to fit. Back in a second. Okay, see, I've turned the wheel now. I know. One thing I should do before I do this is put the lubricated nipple on here. Well, it's easy to get to. I don't like to put them on before, just in case I whack something with it and knock it off. and they just thread up in there. Gotta find my tiny little... Okay, now that I got the nipples lubed and everything, I gotta put the rotor back on, but remember we're replacing the inner and outer bearings on the rotor also. So we'll go back over to my desk here and replace those. Okay, got the wheel up here now, the rotor. Okay, so I'm gonna just put a big screwdriver in there and turn this a little bit, pop the bearing cover off. Okay, set that to the side. Now this job is extremely messy, even worse than the other job. So I'm going to do an attempt to not get as dirty by putting some gloves on. Give me a minute. Okay, now that I got my pretty yellow gloves on, let's pull this guy out. Okay, there's the old bearing. Yeah, it looks worn. So into the trash with that one. Now, see if we can clean up my screwdriver here. Wash all my tools after this. Okay, so now I'm going to try and get some of this old grease out of here. At least want to get the top where the bearing goes in clean. Of course, we'll put new grease in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now take the new bearing. Before we put the bearing in, we've got to pack it full of grease. So I'm going to put some grease in my hand here. Okay, and we just want to pack it in all the rollers. And any grooves you see. More than that. Wow, that was a mess. Try not to make too much of a mess because I got to do other projects on this desk too. Okay. Alright, if you're able to rotate the bearing, get it to roll. Okay, I'm going to cram it in there. Okay. Now, once you got that, take some more grease and line the inside. Okay, and place your bearing down in there and try and rotate it. Okay, so you can get work the grease into the roller bearings. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit more. this one. And doesn't look like I bent it, so can reuse it. But I did buy another seal just in case. Okay, so now I need to tap that in with this already nasty hammer. Just tap lightly, don't want to bend anything. See how it rings when you are there? Okay, so that's good. Okay. Now we're ready to put it back on the wheel. But while I got my gloves on, I'm going to go ahead and pack the other bearing, the outer bearing. I'll do that ahead of time because I'm going to take my gloves off to put it on the vehicle. Oh, and to move the camera. Yeah, I don't want to get this goop all over the camera. Okay. Looks like I had enough that time. Oh, nice and packed in there. Okay. Alright, I'm going to take a paper towel. I'll just set that guy on there. And I'm going to carry this over there. Now go back to... Okay. Let's go. Alright, let's go put it on the car. Okay, we're back at the car here. And got the rotor here. So I cleaned off the back of the rotor. I don't want any of that grease on there for the brakes. Alright, so now I'm going to place the rotor onto the axle. Here. Okay. So it's a bit heavy. I don't need that leave on there, whatever that is. Okay. Alright, so now I take my outer bearing that I already lubed up. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed I lubed the spindle there. Here, how's that? I lubed the spindle while I still had my gloves on. Okay. It's amazing, it's staying on there. Okay, so I got the inner and the outer bearing on. So now I need to put this, this plate holds it all in place. It's like a washer. Slide that on. Okay, and then we need the nut that goes over the end. These actually are two pieces. There's the nut and the cotter pin holder here. We can just thread that on. Now this doesn't need to be too tight. If you tighten this down a lot, you're going to burn out your bearings. Okay. This is just there to keep your wheel from falling off. All right. So hand tight is fine. And when you spin this, that's a little too tight. Or too loose, sorry. Yeah, half to one time around. That seems to be good. Okay. So we're good there. Now, I'm going to put the cotter pin on, if I can find it. There it is right there. Okay, so I got the cotter pin through. I'll just bend it up like how we started. And then the other one I can just bend around. Okay. Well, I guess it's gonna bend around anyway. Okay. What's it scraping against here? Ah, yes, okay. It's just scraping against the inside of this metal piece here. It's really minor. Don't worry about it. Okay, as long as it's not the bearing, you know, it should sound nice and smooth with your new bearing. So, okay, now I gotta put the brake back on. Okay, so remember from before, I couldn't get the bolt off, so left the whole piece on there. So just slide that in. Okay. Oh, put the brake shoes on first. What do I do with the brake shoes? Over here. So remember, the one with the two marks is the back one. And it'll just slide on. And then the other one. Another way to know that this is the correct one is that it has this plate here, which this will squeeze into. It's like an anti-rattle plate, so keep it from making noise. Keeps the brakes from rattling around. Okay, and then put the bottom bolt back in. Assuming you can get it aligned. I might have to. Almost. Okay, there we go. That was 3/4, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yep, 3/4. Okay. Tighten that good. Okay. And then you've got these little rubber seals. Make sure they're over both ends. I'll show you that. Okay, so you got the little rubber seals here. So just make sure they're over the end. Let me see if I can get some light on that. That'll help keep some dirt out of there. You need both hands to do that. Well, I know it doesn't help the light with it. I'm trapped in too many wires. Okay. That's good. Now get the bottom one here. This one's pretty loose. Okay, so got it back together. Now I can just put the cap back on and the tire on, and you're good. And that's it. That's all I got. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.